know some of y'all probably wondering, why am I even going through this or telling you this? Because so many marriages fail because they brought their past into their present. And they didn't take time to evaluate the situation for what it was, but lived in the was or in the past. And so when the spouse said something, it triggered a memory from 5-10 years ago. And they responded like they did 5 or 10 years ago, instead of looking at the situation and saying, why is my spouse saying this? Or why are they doing this? Or am I perceiving what they said incorrectly? You know, we both did it to each other. She would say things and I'm like, what? No, we ain't having that. And she would look at me like I was crazy. And there were times I said stuff and she would kind of look at me like I was crazy. And I would look at her like she was crazy. And I'm like, what is really going on here? But we had two different distinct paths. And so it was like two atoms coming together. Or I think they call it nuclear fusion or fission, one out of the two. But one is bringing atoms together and the other is separating them. That's kind of what marriage is like. You're bringing two atoms, or not two dudes, but a man and a woman together and joining them to make one flesh. But when a divorce comes, you're separating it. And that brings a major explosion and a lot of friction. So in my situation, here it is, 6-7 months separated, and I'm really crying out to God. And these things that I'm telling you are things that He spoke to me. And I begin to reflect and remember, when she said this, I didn't have anything to do with that. She was talking about another situation. And that's why it didn't make sense. But because of my past, I took it the wrong way. I remember saying things to her and she like, really? What are you? And I'm looking at her like, huh? What are you talking about? Because she took it the wrong way. How many times in your relationship have you said something, you had the greatest of intentions, but your spouse took it the wrong way, not because of something you did, but because of something that happened in a previous relationship? I know the pain of that. I know the pain of walking away from the one you love, yet not understanding why. So many times we look at things in the Bible and we go, but that don't apply to me. Well, being a covenant breaker applied to me. And I got to look at that, because when I begin to compare myself and say, God, show me what's wrong with me, He began to reveal these things. That's when I really start to understand what true love was. Because I will never forget the day the Lord said to me, you didn't love her. Oh my God, I'm like, really? God, did you get the memo? I did this and that and this and that and this and that. I sacrificed here and sacrificed there. And then all this long laundry list of stuff that I had done. And I had the greatest intentions of doing it for my wife. But she didn't perceive it that way. Some stuff she did, some stuff she didn't. But the problem was, I was doing and not understanding. She was doing and not understanding. For those who've never been shot at or been shot, and you see someone who, when a firecracker goes off, they ducking and crawling all up under trees and stuff, you don't understand because you haven't felt the pain or heard a bullet whiz past your head. That changes you. For those people who've been stabbed and all of a sudden your spouse is just in the kitchen and they yell and pick up a knife and you breaking out, freaking out like, what? Whoa, hold up, woman, what you doing? She just cooking. But you took it that way because of your past, because you wasn't quite healed from it. And I realized that two of us came together not being healed, so we were both unhealthy. So you got unhealthy one, unhealthy two coming together, and you know what we was going to do? Reproduce unhealthy. How many How many of you have done this in your own relationships? Because you hadn't healed from the scars from your past, from your childhood. You go into a relationship and all it is a constant battle, not necessarily with your spouse, but with you. But you don't want to recognize or realize, wait a minute, maybe I'm taking this the wrong way and not is what they're doing. See, the thing is, we have got to line ourselves up against God and His Word, not what I think or what I feel, because so many times what I think and what I feel could be skewed because of my past. And that happens to so many of us. I would never forget hearing a conversation or having a conversation with a couple. And the young lady said, well, my husband won't change. I said, excuse me? What do you mean? Tell me what's going on. Well, I asked him to do such and such 2 weeks ago, and he just ain't changing. I said, okay, well, has he done anything better? Oh, well, yeah, he's been doing better in this area, that area, this area. So she listed like 3 or 4 things that had improved over the last 2 weeks. But she said, oh, he's not changing. Well, if you think about it, he was changing. It was a process. And so I asked her this question. I said, has God ever asked you to do something? Well, yeah. How long ago? Oh, about 5-10 years ago. Have you done it yet? Well, no. I said, so in essence, God asked you to change 10 years ago, and you haven't. Yet you expect your husband to change in 2 weeks. But you ain't made it in 10 years. That's selfish. You're expecting him to do something and be something you are not able to do yourself.